Thank you for joining me this afternoon. The time is currently 12:54 p.m. Central, and you have a live look at a dangerous line of storms sweeping through eastern Oklahoma and western Arkansas here, currently prompting a severe thunderstorm warning for areas like McCurtain, Oklahoma here, Panama, Oklahoma, all the way down towards Worcester, Oklahoma. This is mainly for the threat of 60-mile-per-hour damaging winds, but also some isolated penny-sized hail in there may occur. So if you're included in this severe thunderstorm warning, make sure that you are moving indoors immediately, as again, this is a pretty nasty line of storms here that it has taken on a bow echo shape, which means its damaging wind threat must be very high, especially at the core of it here, where once again, right at the center, we have a severe thunderstorm warning. Now, this severe thunderstorm warning is not going to be the last one we see out of this line, and in fact, if this continues to be severe in this part of the storm, a severe thunderstorm warning will be issued for downtown Fort Smith, Arkansas here, okay? So, if you're in Fort Smith right now, you're good, but prepare to move indoors when necessary here in Fort Smith, because again, I can almost guarantee you're going to be at least getting a line of storms that is producing gusty winds and small hail by the time it reaches you, but it is actively producing damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour, and just several minutes before we started going live, we were getting some reports of quarter-sized hail here out of portions, let's see here, of Haskell County, alright, near Hoyt, Enterprise, Whitefield, Huger, alright, we had quite a few reports of some large hail up to quarter size in that area, but again, right now, this line is actively only producing up to penny-sized hail. It looks like maybe nickel size in some spots, but in this specific area, we are talking about some penny-sized hail for the most part. So again, this line of storms just swept through McCurtain. It's currently sweeping through McCurtain. It's about to go through areas like Salisaw, Muldrow, and Patow. So if you're in this area, again, make sure that you are moving indoors immediately, as this is actually a pretty nasty line of storms here that is currently entering portions of western LaFleur County. So anyway, let's go ahead and bring up the stream chat here. If anybody has any questions about their location, feel free to leave those down below, as again, this is a pretty intense line of storms here. So anybody out here in eastern Oklahoma or western Arkansas, just let me know. Hopefully we got some viewers from out there. Hopefully, we've got some viewers as well across parts of the Red River Valley, as that's where our main severe weather threat is going to be for later today, alright? We are expecting some strong to severe storms capable of producing damaging winds, large hail, and maybe even a couple of tornadoes to develop across parts of Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Arkansas, and Mississippi as we go in later to this evening here. And we also have a little slight risk up here in the Midwest, and we actually have some ongoing strong thunderstorms up in portions of Wisconsin. This is a live look from Brooklyn, Wisconsin. You can see we got that rain falling. It's a little bit gusty out there, it looks like, with those limbs shaking around there off that tree. And we also have a little bit of a stronger storm out here in eastern Iowa currently along Highway 20 near Winthrop. This one is going to be mainly a gusty wind and small hail maker, alright, but it actually does have the intensification possible tag on it, so we may even see this prompt a severe thunderstorm warning if it does become intense enough as it enters this kind of environment here out here in southwestern Wisconsin, eastern Iowa, and then maybe just a little sliver of northwestern Illinois there. So anyway, that's what we're dealing with right now. We do have Storm Chaser Vince Welty out near Anamosa, Iowa, and then we've got some other Storm Chasers, I do believe, as well down in Oklahoma. We have Storm Chaser Brandon Kopic right now up in Wisconsin, because, I mean, we're talking about a very large area of potential severe weather today. But again, the main two areas that we're watching are the ones up here in parts of the upper Midwest, kind of centered around Madison, Wisconsin, and then the one here across portions of the Red River and lower Mississippi valleys here, because I do think that we are actually going to see a couple of tornadoes probably down here today, and again, we do have that slight risk of severe weather in place from the Storm Prediction Center. Again, that's a 2 out of 5 risk on the scale, which usually leads to some scattered, damaging winds and large hail, and then maybe a couple of isolated tornadoes possible. So that's kind of what we're expecting here today. Again, right now, though, our main focus has to be on eastern Oklahoma and western Arkansas, as kind of surprisingly, honestly, this line of storms has managed to continue for the past several hours, producing damaging winds and large hail across portions of central and eastern Oklahoma. And again, it's about across the state line here into Arkansas. Again, areas like Fort Smith, you got to look out for this one. This is going to be a pretty nasty line of storms out there. Definitely going to pack a punch with some heavy rain, damaging winds, and maybe a little bit of small hail in there even. So Gotta look out for that one. We do not currently have any storm chasers, at least not on the Radar Omega app, that are out here chasing this line right now. So we have to go entirely off of radar imagery here. Luckily, we are very close to the Fort Smith radar site, so we're going to get a great view of these storms. A worst-case scenario would be a strong gust from this line actually hits the Fort Smith radar site and we lose connection to it. That would be pretty bad. But, again, right now, this is just a very large bow echo line of storms going from portions of northeastern Oklahoma all the way down into southeastern Oklahoma. And, again, it's about to cross into Arkansas here whenever it crosses the state line, okay? So, again, if anybody has any questions about their location, feel free to leave those down below. Again, we're also watching our storms up in the upper Midwest a little bit here, but right now, none of those are really too intense. Our only severe thunderstorm warning in the entire country is out here right now in eastern Oklahoma, for portions of LaFleur, Sequoia, Haskell, and Latimer counties. So, that's what's going on right now. New radar scan there. Still definitely showing those damaging winds with that bow echo shape here from our line of storms, as well as the large hail. There's not really a tornado threat with this line of storms. I'm not expecting any tornadoes by any means necessary, but again, the damaging winds could be a pretty real threat. Looks like we do have a pocket of higher winds up here closer to Sallisaw, right, just barely clipping the edge of our severe thunderstorm warning here. Areas like Harrison and Sallisaw, make sure that you are moving indoors, as this is definitely going to pack a punch. This is definitely going to, knock down some trees, at least knock down some tree limbs. May knock out some power for a few people. It's going to be a pretty powerful storm here as it heads towards downtown Sallisaw, and areas along Interstate 40 there in far eastern Oklahoma. Looks like we kind of got another little punch of winds here that's about to approach Star. So if you're in Star, it's definitely getting very windy out there right now. Again, you should be inside if you're in Star, as this severe thunderstorm is currently impacting you the hardest out of almost anybody in this severe thunderstorm warning. So anyway, again, we have a slight risk of severe weather today. Actually, we have two slight risks of severe weather today. We did actually just get a new mesoscale discussion as of 6 minutes ago. This is mesoscale discussion 1150. I'm going to go ahead and bring that up on your screen there, if it'll let me. There we go. Okay, so hopefully it'll work here. Sorry. Sometimes it just doesn't want to work. I guess I could just turn it on here on Radar Omega. Yep, there it is. So, we'll just bring it up here on Radar Omega, since apparently it doesn't want to screen mirror from my iPad. I don't know, I've never done this from Radar Omega. How do I... It should pop up on our map, no? I don't know, I've never done this from here. Maybe it just hasn't popped up on the map yet, because it just came out, again, 6 minutes ago. Sorry, I'm trying to bring it up on your guys' screen. There we go. Well, now that time it wanted to work instantly. Okay, so anyway, mesoscale discussion 1150. Oh, forgot to mute myself. Mesoscale discussion 1150 here. All right. So, continuing thunderstorm intensification appears possible into and across the region, particularly near/northeast of the Arklatex through 2 to 4 p.m. Central Daylight Time. We have a 60% chance of a watch being issued for this area, either a severe thunderstorm or a little bit less likely a tornado watch being issued here. I'd be almost shocked if it was a tornado watch instead of a severe thunderstorm watch. But part of it is actually because of our line of storms here, it looks like, that we were talking about currently impacting eastern Oklahoma. They are talking about issuing a severe thunderstorm watch for that area in between now and 3:30 p.m. across parts of southeast Oklahoma, southwest Arkansas, northeast Texas, and northwest Louisiana. So there's that. Again, if you're just now tuning in, we are tracking severe weather across portions of Oklahoma and Arkansas right now, as this line of storms continues to head towards the Fort Smith area. Again, downtown Fort Smith is going to be impacted by this line of storms. It's coming in. I can't make any guarantees on if it'll be severe or not, but by the time it reaches Fort Smith, at the very least, it'll still be doing some isolated pockets of heavy rainfall, maybe even widespread heavy rainfall. It'll also be producing some gusty winds and small hail at the very least. Again, right now it's producing some damaging winds and small hail. And apparently now trained weather spotters, as of 10 or 11 minutes ago, have reported 60 mile per hour damaging wind gusts with this storm here. It's a little confusing though, because if we go down here, it says the wind threats radar indicated. So I don't know. But anyway, maybe they saw like some damage or something. Again, we have gotten a couple of large hail reports here out of portions of eastern Oklahoma. That was actually, one of them was from a storm chaser out here. A few quarter-sized hailstones reported by a media storm chaser near Whitefield. Location estimated by a combo of radar and the information provided by broadcast media. I mean, if we play back this line of storms here over the last 50 frames, you can actually see it rapidly develop and take on the bow echo shape that it has now. You can see originally it was just kind of a cluster of stronger storms out here whenever it was south of Tulsa, east of Oklahoma City, but then very quickly it kind of got this bow echo shape as it approached Ada, McAllister, Wilburton, Stigler, and it's continuing to intensify here, getting bigger and bigger as it heads for the Fort Smith-Wilburton area, and again, that's part of the reason why they're talking about issuing a severe thunderstorm watch for this area, is because they're expecting this line to continue to intensify. We really weren't expecting too much convection in this early afternoon round of storms, but that's what's ended up happening here as this continues off to the east. Again, this is a severe thunderstorm warning for portions of LaFleur, Haskell, Sequoia, and Latimer counties in eastern Oklahoma here. This is for areas off to the west of Fort Smith. Areas like Muldrow, Sallisaw, McCurtain, and Poteau are included in this severe thunderstorm warning. So again, if you're in any of those towns that I just mentioned, make sure that you are moving indoors immediately. This storm is going to cross over Highway 59 very soon here near Panama and Poteau, however you pronounce that. By the time this line of storms reaches central Arkansas, we will actually have a visual of it here, as we do have a cyclone port from Perry County. You can already see it's very overcast out here in Perry County, so there's really not too much instability out here in this area. But it's appearing to be just enough here for this line of storms to continue to produce damaging winds across parts of Oklahoma and Arkansas. Again, I think by the end of this stream, this line will be in western Arkansas. Right now, it's in eastern Oklahoma. This line is moving off to the east at 30 miles per hour here. So, these are kind of average pace storms, maybe a little bit on the slower side of things here. Traveling about half of highway speed as they approach Fort Smith. Let's kind of drag this out, actually, and talk about some of the areas that could be in the path of this bow echo here over the next several hours. So Kennedy, you've got about 8 minutes. If you're in Kennedy, you should be indoors already. Yerby, you've got about 18 minutes. You should be indoors. Poteau, 21 minutes. You should be indoors. Monroe, 35 minutes. Hartford, 50 minutes. Bates, 53 minutes. Midland, 53 minutes. Gibson, 53 minutes. Fox Hill in an hour. It's looking like we've got Union Hill and Blue Mountain in the path of this in about 2 hours. And then in about 3 hours, we're going to be talking about areas like Ola being impacted by this. Again, all those areas, for the most part, are in eastern Oklahoma and western Arkansas here. I will say, actually, this line's moving a little bit to the south, so I don't know, maybe I should have put the little tracker there a little bit further to the south, but all those areas at the very least will at least get some heavy rain from this line of storms here, probably. I did just post a severe weather update. If you guys are interested in what we're expecting from today, just go ahead and check that out. I posted it seconds before I started streaming even. It got uploaded. So if you want to know over the next few days what the severe weather is going to be, what the severe weather threat's going to be, we also talk a little bit about the excessive heat that's kind of popping out here in the western United States. Then we have excessive heat warnings for parts of California, Nevada, and Arizona. That includes areas like Las Vegas, Sacramento, Bakersfield. So again, if you're just now joining us, we do have a line of severe storms currently moving through eastern Oklahoma, about to enter western Arkansas near Fort Smith. We currently do have a severe thunderstorm warning for LaFleur, Sequoia, Haskell, and Latimer counties in eastern Oklahoma. We're also watching a cluster of storms up here in the Midwest. We did get a new special weather statement. It's an extension for a storm near Fort Atkinson. This is still producing gusty winds up to 40 miles per hour as of 4 minutes ago. And again, we can actually kind of see that here from our Brooklyn, Wisconsin cam. We can see definitely some tree shakage there, some branches shaking around. We got some rain coming down a little bit. I will say something. The pressure in this area, incredibly low. We're talking about 974 millibar low pressure. So anybody out here with arthritis or anything like that down here in southern Wisconsin is definitely not having a great day. As this is incredibly low pressure out here. I mean, that's just, guys, that's the same kind of pressure that we have whenever we're talking about, you know, like hurricanes and stuff. Which, the lower the pressure doesn't always mean the more intense storm, but it, at the very least, is signifying that we have a low-pressure system moving through that's bringing some strong storms to some area. And that's exactly what's going on. So, alright, so this severe thunderstorm warning here expires in 4 minutes, but I can almost guarantee you they're going to reissue that as this continues to move off to the east, because, I mean, it doesn't look any weaker to me than whenever they issued this warning. So we'll see here how this progresses as it approaches downtown Fort Smith. I'm guessing within the next several minutes, Fort Smith, all you guys out there are going to be included in a severe thunderstorm warning, so prepare to move indoors. Right now, some of the worst of the winds are going near Brent, Sadie, crossing over Highway 59. If you're traveling on Highway 59 between Sallisaw and Poteau, make sure that you are being very cautious. Probably don't want to be traveling on the highway at all right now. That is a major highway out there, so we probably got a lot of semis and other high-profile vehicles on the roads out there right now, so obviously don't want to be traveling out there while we have that going on. And there we go. We have a new severe thunderstorm warning. This is actually all the way out in Missouri. This is a severe thunderstorm warning for northern Webster County, southern Dallas County, and southwestern Laclede County, and southwestern Missouri here. This is for the threats of 60-mile-per-hour damaging winds and quarter-size hail heading for the Conway area. So if you're in Conway, make sure that you are moving indoors immediately. Conway, Phillipsburg, if you're traveling along Interstate 44 in this area, make sure that you are getting off. This is, I was a little surprised by that. We have some storms popping off here in southwestern Missouri, and one of them has managed to become severe. So there we go. And they actually removed, they didn't even let it expire, but they removed the severe thunderstorm warning down in Arkansas. Wow. So I guess now we're talking about severe weather impacting Missouri instead of Arkansas and Oklahoma. I mean, in the thumbnail, I did have southwestern Missouri highlighted in the yellow shade, but I really wasn't expecting too much severe weather activity out there this afternoon in Missouri. That's for sure. So again, if you're just now joining us, we are tracking a severe thunderstorm rolling through southwestern Missouri, approaching Conway and Phillipsburg. If you're along Interstate 44 here, in between Northview and Lebanon, make sure that you are moving indoors immediately. If you're traveling along Interstate 44 in that area, make sure that you are getting off, as we have probably a lot of high-profile vehicles traveling at this time, like semis and stuff, truckers traveling out here. Will I be live later tonight? Yes, I will. We'll be live later tonight covering severe weather across parts of Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, and Mississippi, as well as parts of Illinois, Iowa, and Wisconsin for our severe weather threat that we have in effect today. Probably around 8 to 9 p.m. I'll probably be live. Because, again, we are expecting some relatively intense storms to pop off in those areas this evening, late this evening, into the early nighttime hours, I would say. So just a quick note on our severe thunderstorm warning in southwestern Missouri. Large hail, damaging wind, and continuous cloud-to-ground lightning are occurring with this storm. Move indoors immediately. Lightning is one of nature's leading killers. Remember, if you can hear thunder, you are close enough to be struck by lightning. That's where the saying, if thunder roars, go indoors, comes from. Again, that's near Conway and Phillipsburg at the minute. We are talking about a relatively populated area out here in southwestern Missouri being impacted by this little storm that has managed to just barely reach severe limits. So yeah, we have about 9,000 people included in this severe thunderstorm warning here. So again, our line of storms out here in eastern Oklahoma apparently is no longer severe according to the National Weather Service in Fort Smith. However, it still does have a special weather statement associated with it because it is still strong. We are still getting 50-mile-per-hour winds and penny-sized hail all across this line here pretty much. Everywhere from Antlers back up towards Stillwell. We could be seeing some gusty winds and small hail occurring with this line of storms. Very large area being impacted by this across southeastern and even east central and northeastern Oklahoma here. Very large bow echo shape there. Again, really surprised they decided to lift that severe thunderstorm warning. It didn't even expire. They actually just lifted it. It would have expired 2 minutes later, but they removed it. So, again, I really figured they were going to reissue it as this line of storms approached Fort Smith. But again, we are still seeing gusty to damaging winds approaching downtown Fort Smith. So if you're in Fort Smith, the best thing to do right now is to be indoors here. It's already probably starting to, get pretty dreary out there in Fort Smith. Probably seeing a little bit of lightning and maybe sprinkling, but it's about to become torrential out there as this line of storms comes in. So get ready, Fort Smith. But again, now our main focus is areas here to the northeast of Springfield, Missouri. Our only severe thunderstorm warning in the entire country is out here, near Phillipsburg and Conway. Areas along Interstate 44 in southwestern Missouri. Let's kind of check out some of our storms up here in the Midwest. Our one in Wisconsin is still, producing some gusty winds, potentially up to 40 miles per hour, maybe some small hail as it approaches Fort Atkinson. So if you're in that area, just make sure that you're getting indoors and you'll be fine. And then our storm out here in northeastern Iowa as well, in between Independence and Dyersburg, as it moves towards Masonville and Manchester, is continuing to produce the threat of some gusty winds up to about 40 miles per hour and some nickel-sized hail. We're also getting some frequent cloud-to-ground lightning strikes with that storm, it looks like. So if you're in that area, again, make sure that you are moving indoors immediately. But again, our main focus right now is on our storm that's approaching Conway. I know Conway is a bigger town out here in southwestern Missouri, at least relative to the other areas down here. Conway's got about, let's see here. Okay, I guess it's not as big as I thought. Conway's only got about 731 people. That is not big at all. What about Phillipsburg? I don't know where the 9,000 people in this warning are coming from, if it's not from one of these towns. Yeah, Phillipsburg only has 165. I don't know where all this is coming from, the 9,000 people. I guess it's just because we got a bunch of little suburbs of Springfield out here. But none of them, I would think, have any... I don't think any of these towns have a population of over 1,000 if Conway and Phillipsburg don't. that's interesting. I guess it just kind of stacks up, it piles on there. I guess even outside of these towns out here, we've still got quite a few homes, so that kind of makes sense, I guess. So a little update here for our folks out in Fort Smith. Again, this storm is just racing towards the state line here of Oklahoma and Arkansas. It's getting very close. At this point, we're talking about, the furthest eastern counties in Oklahoma that are being impacted by this. We've had a storm in between DFW and Oklahoma City for a while along the Red River Valley that's had a special weather statement, and it's kind of actually attached to our Bow Echo line of storms out here near Ardmore. If you're in this area, make sure that you are moving indoors if you have not already. This has been here for a while, so you probably have already, but wind gusts up to 50 miles per hour may occur with that storm. We do have a new special weather statement out in east central Wisconsin as of 2 minutes ago. Gusty winds up to 40 miles per hour are occurring out here near Lake Winnebago. So if you're on or near Lake Winnebago, get out of the water and move indoors or inside a vehicle. Remember, lightning can strike out to 10 miles from the parent thunderstorm. If you can hear thunder, you are close enough to be struck by lightning. Move to safe shelter now. Do not be caught on the water in a thunderstorm. So it's for areas like Appleton, Chilton, again, Lake Winnebago. You need to make sure that you're moving indoors out here. This is right on top of Lake Winnebago, just about. So it's coming in, guys. So, again, if you're just now joining us, we are tracking a severe thunderstorm currently moving through Webster, Dallas, and Laclede counties, Missouri. As this approaches areas like Conway and Phillipsburg, this is producing damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour and hail up to quarter size. So if you're in this area, you need to move indoors immediately, as this is a dangerous storm out here in southwestern Missouri that could cause some damage, actually. So hail damage to vehicles is expected. Expect wind damage to roofs, siding, and trees. Locations impacted include the Bennett Springs State Park, Morgan, Conway, Phillipsburg, all of Elkland, Long Lane, and Charity. This includes Interstate 44 between mile markers 101 and 120. Torrential rainfall is occurring with this storm and may lead to flash flooding. Do not drive your vehicle through flooded roadways. Here's a look from Burlington, Kansas. We've got such low pressure out here, guys. 969 millibar low. Again, that's the kind of low that we have with a Category 1, Category 2 hurricane. So the pressure out here is just, it's definitely, it's going to hurt. There's going to be a lot of pain in, your joints out here if you have problems with that. And it's continuing to drop as well. It's been dropping like a millibar every half hour to an hour or so. A typical pressure is about 1,010 millibars. And again, we're talking about 970 and 969. So by the way, I've not mentioned this yet, but at the 11:30, the 16:30 UTC update, the Storm Prediction Center did issue a marginal risk of severe weather for parts of Montana and North Dakota, actually. This is not driven by a tornado threat, but it does have a damaging wind threat associated with it here. Again, for parts of northeastern Montana and western North Dakota here. If we kind of take a look at what the NAM is showing for this area, we can see we're not seeing too much convection, which, again, we only have a marginal risk, so you wouldn't expect that much, but if we look, we're really not seeing too much at all, other than just some garden variety showers and thunderstorms, maybe some isolated severe thunderstorms out in Montana, maybe far western North Dakota, but not expecting too much, crazy activity in that area, so that's good. So a quick update on our Fort Smith storm. It is starting to rain out there in Fort Smith. Probably just a little drizzle out there right now. But again, this line of storms, whenever it comes in, it's going to be heavy rain. I mean, very heavy rain. It's going to be a downpour out there as this approaches downtown Fort Smith. Let's kind of talk about whenever it's going to get to Fort Smith here for a little bit. Let's see. So, western Fort Smith, this is going to be here in about 23 minutes. Let's try and actually get to Fort Smith, though. Dang it. Downtown Fort Smith, this is going to be here in almost exactly a half an hour. So... back up to our storm in Missouri here. Again, it's continuing to produce some damaging winds and large hail. Approaching Conway, actually. Conway, you've got a few minutes until this gets to you, but you might as well just go ahead and head indoors now because lightning is still going to be capable of striking in Conway already, even though it's not even raining out there yet. So stay safe out there. Make sure that you are moving indoors. This is a live look from White Oak, Missouri. Decently impressive storm rolling through. We got some rain. Looks like it's kind of past at this point, though. The worst of it would be on the kind of behind this camera and then also on the right-hand side of this camera here. You can see the trees are shaking around a little bit. Nothing crazy, though. Just a couple of weaker storms out there near Poplar Bluff. But they could be producing some heavy rainfall, maybe a little bit of wind and hail. Those are going to head off to the northeast there, towards areas like Fredericktown, Jackson, Perryville, Farmington. And if they last long enough, maybe just far, like a sliver of southwestern Illinois could get impacted by this. Areas like Chester. If we take a look at the satellite imagery, we can see that the storms out here in like Oklahoma and Arkansas are very, not surface-based, that's for sure. You can see how high those clouds stretch up. I mean, if you're in like Tulsa, Fort Smith, Oklahoma City, Miami, Joplin, even Springfield, all the way up towards Kansas City, really, it's probably pretty overcast out there right now. And then we can also see quite a bit of cloud cover out here in the northwestern United States. Areas like California, Nevada, Utah, Colorado, Wyoming, Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Montana. Very cloudy day out there. Mostly overcast, but depending on where you're at, there could be a few breaks in the cloud. I did just now notice, though, that we do have actually a couple of special weather statements near Spokane. We actually have a strong thunderstorm moving through northeast Washington right now. At 11:10 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time, the public reported a strong thunderstorm over Spokane, moving east at 40 miles per hour. That was about 19 minutes ago. Winds in excess of 40 miles per hour and half-inch hail are occurring with this storm, according to the public. Near Spokane, again, it just kind of moved through Spokane. But areas like Spokane Valley, Millwood, Pasadena Park, Orchard Prairie, you guys are about to get hit by this, so make sure you're moving indoors there. Wow. So, Our winds on our Missouri storm are really starting to pick up out there. Radar estimated winds at about 56 miles per hour, 0.2 degrees into the atmosphere. So the surface winds will be, 50 to 55 miles per hour with that. Again, this warning is for up to 60. That's like, maybe a couple of isolated gusts get up to 60. Like, it's not going to be a widespread occurrence, but I will say it has been like this for a while, where we've been measuring 58 mile per hour winds. I guess I didn't check the velocities here with this storm because I wasn't expecting much, but yeah, I guess about 58 miles per hour, which are technically severe limit winds, have been occurring with this storm here as it moved through Thorpe, Charity. So we may have a little bit of damage out there to like some trees, some power lines, maybe a couple of shingles got ripped off of a home. Maybe a bit of damage to mobile homes, but nothing crazy. Just your typical severe thunderstorm out here in southwest Missouri. Summertime, I mean, it happens, So again, if you're just now tuning in, we are tracking severe weather in Missouri. We have a storm near Conway that has a severe thunderstorm warning as it is producing damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour and hail up to quarter size. We're also tracking some stronger storms moving out here through Arkansas. Some of these are going to be capable of producing winds up to 50 miles per hour and hail up to nickel size. And these are moving off to the east at 35 miles per hour. Fort Smith, you've got, several minutes until this approaches you, but go ahead and get indoors now because, as you know, lightning can strike up to 10 miles away from a storm. We can see, Fort Smith is actually about 5 miles away from the leading edge of this storm here. So definitely at the very least, you can see some lightning from Fort Smith at this point. And again, the wind threat's really ramping up, but it's picking up again. All right, we are talking about 50 to 60 mile per hour winds possibly near Muldrow. Again, going to be approaching Fort Smith very shortly. I'd also be pretty concerned about areas to the north of Fort Smith here for some potential damaging winds. It's not going to be anything crazy, but I'm just saying they may reissue a severe thunderstorm warning. Again, I was kind of surprised that they removed it in the first place because that's probably one of our more intense storms right now that we're tracking. Again, the only one we have severe warned is out here in southwest Missouri, but I don't know. The one in the Oklahoma line of storms here, the Bow Echo, is pretty intense. It looks like we actually have a special weather statement for our storm in Ada, because it is producing winds up to 50 miles per hour and hail up to half-inch size, potentially. So if you're in Ada, make sure that you are moving indoors. This is definitely a little cell here near Fitzhugh that's going to be able to produce some small hail and gusty winds, for sure. But anyway, and some of these storms actually in southeastern Missouri are going to be pretty intense here. On the right-hand side of your screen there, if this camera was just facing a little bit more to the right, we'd be able to see this storm really well, actually. The dew point is in the 70s in southeastern Missouri today, which is very high for even for early June. And that's why we do have that marginal risk of severe weather in place for southeastern Missouri. And again, the slight risk is for portions of the deep south, and then we have another slight risk up in the portions of, I want to call it the lower upper Midwest. Does that make sense? Like, I feel like this would be considered the upper Midwest, but it's like just barely. Like, we're talking, southern Wisconsin, northern Illinois, eastern Iowa. That's kind of like lower upper Midwest. Our storm in Missouri looks to be a little less intense at this point. The winds aren't quite as strong. I'm not seeing too much of a hail threat anymore either. But, I mean, these storms are pretty, you know, surface-based. So, they could be a little more intense than what it seems. Again, it's really just this one cluster of storms. Very small cluster, but it's off to the east of Springfield, northeast of Springfield, Missouri, where we are seeing some heavy rain, some small hail and gusty winds. And again, at one point, even some large hail and damaging winds. And there we go. They did actually just issue that severe thunderstorm watch that we mentioned earlier for this line of storms here. So the Storm Prediction Center, as of 1 minute ago, has issued a severe thunderstorm watch for parts of Arkansas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, and Texas. I'm going to try and get the details for that up on your screen here. There we go. Again, this just came out 1 minute ago. So this is a severe thunderstorm watch, and it's a kind of a low to moderate end severe thunderstorm watch. Great, the screen mirror doesn't want to work again. Well, that stinks. Well, I'll just go ahead and read off the threats. Scattered hail up to 2-inch size possible, scattered gusts up to 70 miles per hour possible, and frequent lightning possible. So for parts of northeast Texas, northwest Louisiana, southwest Arkansas, and one county here in southeastern Oklahoma. Not all of it has popped up yet on Radar Omega. Only some of the watch boxes have. But this does include Shreveport. It includes Hot Springs. It includes Texarkana. This isn't too populated of an area, though. Overall, that severe thunderstorm watch includes about 1.1 million people across parts of the Arklatex, as well as the Oklahoma area. Far southeastern Oklahoma. Again, just one county there. So, man, I was saying this storm was weakening out, but that pocket of winds there approaching Wall Street and Long Lane is actually relatively intense. We're mainly watching areas on the far western side of this severe thunderstorm warning polygon now. So areas like Wall Street, Long Lane, Cedar Ridge. You guys are going to be getting some of the worst of it here over the next several minutes. Next 20 minutes, I'd say. If you're as far out as like Cedar Ridge. So again, if you're just not tuning in, we've been live here for about 45 minutes now, tracking severe weather across portions of Oklahoma and Missouri here, as well as Arkansas. We do have a line of very strong storms rolling into Fort Smith right now. If you're in Fort Smith, make sure that you are moving indoors. This storm is like 15 to 20 minutes away from approaching you, so make sure that you're moving indoors. We're already seeing some lightning out there, most likely in downtown Fort Smith. This is already in areas in western Fort Smith, areas like Lone Oak, Roland, Shady Grove, areas in Oklahoma, on the Oklahoma side of the state line, in western Fort Smith. But I do think that we are going to end off the live stream here because we don't have any ongoing tornado warnings. We don't have any ongoing flash flood warnings. We only have one severe thunderstorm warning. We don't have any tornado watches. We're just going to end off the stream here. We are going to be live once again later this evening, though, around 8 to 9 p.m. probably. We're going to be live tracking severe weather across parts of the Deep South as well as parts of the Midwest. So come join us again, 8 to 9 p.m. Central Daylight Time. And, yeah, thank you all for tuning into this live stream. Again, this has been severe weather coverage on June 3rd, 2024, and I'll see